troubles, but I think we're back up line again. Jeffrey, what happened so far? I still see Charles Webber in the front.
Yeah, so actually, Charlie Huddleston was just in the lead. Had a little bit of moment coming out of the final corner, so he's given that lead back to Charles Webber. But yeah, they did an exchange last lap. Barry Stockdale's been able to break away for P3 in that final podium position after Melody Chance and Greg Sharp kind of got into a little bit of a battle. And Greg Sharp decided to pit in a little bit early to maybe see if he can go for an undercut and find some clean air. We've also had about 6 pit takers now. So the field is starting to come in for their first pit stops. But there's also a huge train now behind Chris George and Dellis in P5, going from P5 to P9 all the way back to Richard Raboa. And then for just a little bit behind them, we got Justin Devon in 10th, and then Michael Reback and Matthew Malicki in a tight battle for P11 and P12. And then Jake Ache trying to make up those positions that he lost with the earlier spin. So some battle still going on. I think the fight for P1 is still on. I think the fight for the podium is still on. Although Barry Stockdale has shown a really, really nice pace sitting there after he's kind of been able to break away just a little bit. Melody Chance just hanging outside of the 1 second mark, so not quite in draft yet.
No, but I do think
the big battle is for P5 right now.
I do think Melody is in that top 5. She was aiming for that a long time, so great work. I do see some happening with Justin Divin, who just gets passed by Richard Raboya. Looks a little bit like he gave that away.
Yeah, I'm seeing Craig Montgomery had a little bit of a moment just a bit ago. He was able to, I think, avoid damage and avoid anyone else on track. So he's back up and moving now. But yeah, I think a little bit of a spin kind of coming into that really, really tricky left-hander.
Yeah, we see Melody Chance and Justin Divin also going into the into the pit. I see DJ Brooks just getting out of here. And how is it with Charlie Huddleston? Is he going to hold on? Is he going to hold on to Chas Webber? 1.3 already, 1.4.
He's just outside of draft right now, but here I do feel like you get a little bit of help as long as you're within about 1.5 seconds, but it's not really going to pull you up to the gearbox. You really need to be within a second before it starts to, but it does kind of help you stay in there. So as long as you can put in some clean laps, I do think you can hang on to Webber right now. It does look like Greg Sharp's undercut didn't quite work with Melody Chance. So Melody Chance able to stay ahead through that round of pit stops. So I think they're going to be in a tight fight all the way through the second stint now, provided no one has any little bit of slip up there. But yeah, Melody Chance doing a great job putting in great lap times and keeping herself in the conversation for that top 5, but also potentially a podium here today.
And I do see that Greg Sharp is going to try it right over here. Look at that. But Melody Chance, I remember this corner actually when she joined us. She was going way wide, but could save and hold that car. She's done it a lot, improved a lot, and he's currently up here really fighting. And we see Charles Webber going in. Barry Stockdale's also going in.
Yeah, we know, we know Greg Sharp is really, really quick. We've also seen it for Melody at various tracks. She's able to carry a lot of speed through these corners, which is really, really the key here. So she's doing a fantastic job there right now, holding off Greg Sharp. Both very, very quick, showing their pace here today at a track, again, that I very, very much enjoy. It does look like Chas Webber's come into the pits now, so he's just pitting out. Huddleston stayed out, and George and Dellis also came in, and now he's coming out of the pits as well. So we're going to kind of see where they file out. Stockdale also just coming out, and Melody Chance, I think, right there with Stockdale able to overtake him. So she is now into an effective P3, so up into the podium positions, with Stockdale moving down to what would be a P5. They did take a little bit shorter pit stops because they had to take less fuel. They will have to make up for that later on, though. So as long as Stockdale can hang on to their gearboxes, he should be able to jump them back and at least continue this fight for the podium. But very, very nice strategic calls from both Sharp and Chance to get themselves up back onto Barry's gearbox and into this podium fight.
Yeah, and of course, George Dellis is right behind there as well.
Yeah, so he was able to, I think, break away from that pack that he was leading of 5 cars, and now he's also put himself in that P3 position. This is very much what strategy can do for you. So as long as they can carry this momentum into the second pit stop, it could really, really work out. But yeah, this pack of 4 now, if I'm on the tail end of it, I don't think there's much to be gained from trying to fight too much for a position here. If someone opens the door, has a slight mistake, maybe you go for it. But I think right now, as Georgian Dallas goes off, so not the person that you wanted to have the mistake. If you're looking to go for an overtake, he was able to hang on though, and I think he's still in that draft.
I'm going to actually have a look at Chaz Webber, because Chaz Webber is going now over the finish line. And is Charlie Huddleston, how much is he going to lose? I'm quite curious to see. Charlie Huddleston now gets out of the pit. And he is going to be in front of Melody, but Melody is going to have a lot of speed. Look at that. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so Weber with a big win by pitting just a lap before Huddleston. So I don't know if he just had pit entry really down here, but it can make a big difference. It's a little tricky. There's a bump heading into the pit entry, so it's also really easy to speed. So some people will be a little bit more cautious than others. I do think Weber probably sent it in there to make sure that he had the fastest possible pit stop, because yeah, he's come out with quite a bit of big advantage. 4 seconds is what I'm seeing now, whereas both of those guys were glued together before the pit stops.
Yeah, I do want to call out Melody Chance, who had 10.8 seconds into the pit standing still. So that is, I think, our fastest one in this track so far. We do see Greg Sharp is getting really, really close to Melody Chance. Curious to see if she can hold off, and curious to see what Barry Stockdale is going to do. Because if Barry's going to attack, then Greg Sharp needs to look backwards instead of looking forwards.
Yeah, if I'm Barry here right now, I know the 2 cars ahead of me came in earlier. They had to take less fuel, so they're going to have to take more fuel than me later on. So if I can just sit back here and fuel save, I'm going to just keep extending that advantage that I have over them in the upcoming pit stop. So I think Barry, like I said, unless there's a really clear opportunity to take the position and get track position, I think it's in his best interest to kind of hang out, save the fuel, and not involve himself too much, as we do now see, I believe Greg Sharp's going to go for the outside here into turn 1. It's hard to say what the preferred line is here when you go to attack. Inside gives you some advantages, outside gives you some advantages, but Melody Chance with a great defense there.
I do have to say, this is now typical Melody defense riding. She gives the room, but not enough, and then can hold that position. Look at that, she goes to the outside over there, because she wants to have the inside in this corner, and that's really important.
Yeah, really, really intelligent defense here for Melody so far, making sure that she's not giving up. She's thinking a couple corners ahead. Now Greg's going to get down the inside here. The thing is, around the outside, you can get the better exit. So Melody still set up really, really well. She also now has the right side of the track to defend up at the end of the main straight.
And look at this, Barry Stockdale is coming.
Exactly, and she's baited Barry now into this fight. So she's kind of said, hey, you know what, you guys can scrap it out now. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to this P3 while you guys have to do the hard work. All the while, though, Chris, George, and Dallas has now found their draft as well, as Melody starts to extend that gap. So really, really great driving for Melody there. A, with the defense, and then B, getting kind of some other drivers to do the hard work while she gets to drive off into the distance with a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah, and while you say that, behind him is Rich Butler, Rich Berboya, and Justin Diven are driving right over there, also trying to see if they can form a pack. Looks like they're not really attacking each other, so maybe this could be an interesting one if they can come back to Daniel Pagowski, then, or with Daniel Pagowski to Chris Girondellis. Then you have a big group over there, but currently Chaz Webber is 138. Charlie Huddleston, look at that. It's the quickest time over here. It's really gaining a little bit time over Chaz Webber.
Yeah, so we saw over a 4-second gap. It's now under 4 seconds, about 3.8. So, yeah, Charlie Huddleston finding that pace and really starting to move up. So we'll see. Chaz can't go to sleep here. Next thing he knows, he might have some company if he takes it a little bit too easy.
I'm curious about the strategy of Chris Girondellis. He's going into the pit right now. Did have that draft. And now he has to do that all by himself when he comes out. So it's going to be a little bit more tricky. But look at Melody Chance. Really, she holds this track.
Yeah, she's doing a great job up there. Barry Stockdale and Greg Sharp are back in her draft again. But as we've seen, she's got great defensive skills here. So it's not going to be an easy job trying to overtake her on track. And we also saw how easy it is to lose a bunch of time and a bunch of momentum by battling for a position, especially if you can't make the overtake stick. that may be part of the reason why George and Dellis decided, hey, I can't overtake these guys here, but if I can go and do some clean air laps, maybe I can overtake them in the pits. So that might be what he's thinking.
Yeah, a little bit further back, we see Greg Montgomery together with Dixon Davenport, and I think that is Matt Malecki right in front of them. Yeah, that green, the mean green machine for Formula 2. Is also quite defending over there. Craig Montgomery has some difficulties to overtaking, and we know Craig has a lot of speed. So curious to see what he's going to do over there, and of course Dixon right behind him.
Yeah, I think Craig's probably thinking, I shouldn't be here. I had that spin a little bit earlier, and I really want to make up these positions. As he goes for it here into the final corner, gets a nose in. The room is left, but he loses a little bit momentum on that inside line, and now he's under attack as we see him maybe potentially lose out. So that's the tough part with a track like this. Kind of what I was saying before is that it's all about the momentum that you can carry, and if you can't complete an overtake, sometimes you end up losing out because the momentum that you have to lose to go for the attempt. So he's actually fallen back a position now as Dixon Davenport takes over there in his attack of Matthew Malecki.
Yeah, they're really getting close. I do think that Davenport is now actually getting ready to make that overtake.
Yeah, so we've seen a couple drivers here have a peek down into this left-hander and the run onto the back straight. But really is what you want to do is tuck in nice and close to the gearbox heading into that corner. So you're set up with a draft down the straight. As what he's done by going too wide is actually give Craig Montgomery the draft of the two cars and whichever line he prefers to take. He's setting up for outside now, but he should be able to take the apex perfectly and actually have a good run on these guys. Although Dixon does make the move work, Matthew Malecki opting not to kind of take that side by side there. So that maybe actually be a really good, smart move there. Drop back into draft. Don't risk anything here. Still 13 minutes to go in this race, and you don't want to lose it at this point.
Now let's have a quick look at that battle for position number 7 with Rich Butler, Richard Ruboya, and Justin Divin. And while I say that, was a nice save.
It's the curse. It was a very good save by Richard Ruboya, but as soon as we cut there, finding that grass a little bit, that final corner is very, very difficult. You want to go all the way out to the edge of the track on exit, but if you nip that grass just a little bit too much, it can get really, really dangerous, as we see there. Luckily, he was able to hold on quite well, and he is still hanging on to that pack, so very much still in that fight for what I think is now P6, but we may have some pit takers. The two stopper, so Malecki into the pits, but I do believe George and Dellis was maybe part of that. Yeah.
I do want to go back to Chas Weber. Is on that first position, but it's not just yet. He's 4 seconds away, but Charlie Huddleston is actually gaining each time a little bit. I see in my numbers it's 0.3 per lap. It is still a long race. We have 10 more minutes to go. Curious to see if he can do anything over there.
Yeah, so what I expect to see happen here is Huddleston was able to pit later. So Weber was a little bit shorter in the pits, I think about 12 seconds. Huddleston was in the pits for 14 seconds. So I do expect about 2 seconds to come back in the pit stops.
What happened over there? We see Justin Divin going off. I am not sure what happened. Let's have a quick look. I see him standing still.
Oh yeah, and so heading up the hill, it looks like Divin went for an inside move.
And he was right there with
Butler.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, Butler kind of able to hang on there. It gets a little bit loose in the dirt, and then Divin ran a little bit wider maybe than he needed to, and both of them came together.
All right. Jeffrey, we need to have a quick look in the pits because Melody Chance is together there with Greg Sharp, and this is going to be the fight who is going to get out earlier, while there are also still people moving along. And you look at this, Melody Chance is going a lot quicker. With
a big win out of the pits there. So yeah, she is in a great position to have a
this
very
is
nice
podium position right over here.
It is. This is definitely the fight for P3. They've got, I think, a decent gap to George and Dellis now. Looks like George and Dellis actually fell back quite a bit, so maybe he might have had a pit speeding penalty coming in, unfortunately, because I know he was in that podium fight, was with that group, but I think that early pit stop, he may have had a penalty there, because I am showing that he was in the pits for quite a long time, and he has lost out pretty big here. But yeah, Melody Chance, perfect defending so far, perfect pit strategy so far. You got to say, I think she could hang on to it for the next 10 minutes and make this a podium.
So who is her bigger opponent? I do think that Barry Stockdale is currently on that position. Looks like he's one of the candidates to fight with her.
Yeah, he would be, I think, the only one here. So yeah, what is the gap now between Melody Chance and Greg Sharp? It's about 2 seconds. That can be overcome, especially with a slight mistake. We have seen Melody has great pace here and has those defending skills. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be tasked with having to overtake her with how she's been setting up the corners and doing a great job at defending. So, she would be my favorite right now for that podium position. But we'll see where Barry Stockdale comes out because, yeah, this pit stop will be huge. I do believe he gets to stay in the pits a little bit shorter time as well because he pitted a little bit later than them, so that might be just enough of an advantage.
Yeah, we see Richard Raboya and Dixon Davenport going both into the pit, so for their second pit stop.
Yeah, and so the gap has come down even a couple more tenths there at the front between Huddleston and Weber. Now down to about 3.5 seconds, a little bit over 3.5 seconds. So, yeah, Huddleston not giving up. You can see the gearbox in the distance, and he's saying, I'm staying in this, and I'm putting in a really, really nice, clean lap. So, yeah, that fight after these pit stops is definitely not over. As we get down to about 8.5 minutes to go, I do expect there are about 6 drivers, I think, that haven't taken the final pit stop. I do expect those to trickle in this lap and the next lap. I don't think they can go much longer than that.
I do have a quick look at Jake Ashe.
Weber actually comes in now. I just heard him have the call.
Oh, he comes in. Well, we're looking at Jake Ashe because he's all the way back up to that 10th position. Look at that. I remember that he was 20th with that big slide out that he had. And now he's all the way back over there looking for Richard Raboya on the 9th position.
Yeah, Ashe, he's taking his 2 pit stops. He's absolutely on a mission here. Yeah, I think that early spin, unfortunately, wasn't what he was looking for, but he did the right thing and waiting for the pack and waiting to rejoin well. And I think karma has come back around as he's made up those 10 positions. As another car goes off right in front of him, Richard Raboa taking that corner a little bit too deep. And now Ashe up to P9. So yeah, a little bit of karma coming back his way, again, for being patient and doing the right thing early on in the race after the spin.
You have to say it's a really, really clean race so far, or at least what I've seen of it. We do see Chas Weber is out of the pit.
Yeah, just the one bit of contact that we saw a little bit earlier, and those weren't even, bad moves. Those were just slight mistakes. Barry Stockdale, and Melody Chance actually just get together as we cursed that. Barry Stockdale was just ahead of Chance on pit exit. They just got into each other. It looked like maybe, Chance was trying to do the inside line. Barry turned in just a little bit and maybe a little bit of a squeeze as his rear wheel gets touched there. He goes around.
Ooh.
I do think that fight is still on, though.
The fight is still on. I'm looking at Melody's car. She is pretty okay. I don't see any damage on Barry Stockdale, so looks like they're all getting clean through.
Yeah, the only thing is Greg Sharp, actually, I didn't realize at the time, also kind of got involved in that a little bit, touching Barry's car. So it's possible that Barry has some steering damage. It does look like the front wheels are all fine. Same thing with Greg, I think. He's kind of come out of that pretty cleanly. So, yeah, I think fortunately everyone able to walk away with no or minimal damage.
Melody actually took 3.3 seconds right over there, so not even that much damage for her in that way. We do see Charlie Huddleston now going into the pit and immediately coming out of the pit already. Look at that. He's trying to see if he can actually... yeah, he's quite a bit away from Melody Chance. But look at this, Chance Weber, 8 seconds right now.
Yeah,
it was 3 seconds...
Yeah, crucially, I think he's just figured out pit entry, really running the margins there and finding all the time he can get on pit entry. I'm also showing that Huddleston took quite a long pit stop, so I think maybe Charlie Huddleston overfueled on this final stop, unfortunately. 13 seconds in the pits compared to Chaz's 9. And as we mentioned before, Chaz did have a shorter stop in the first stop, so I don't think Huddlestone needed as much fuel as Weber coming in either. So, yeah, maybe accidentally took a full tank there and just lost the gearbox a little bit. So it is looking like Weber is kind of in the best position now here for this win.
Yeah, we're looking now a little bit further back, 10th position. Michael Rebeck is fighting along with Richard Verboya, trying to see if they can catch up with Greg Montgomery. Looks like they're holding on over there, and I think a little bit further back, that's Dixon Davenport with Matt Malecki, who are still over there. It's a long line of drivers.
Yeah, they're all pretty connected there. Even Dixon, very, very close to getting into the drafting range of Richard Roboa. So that could be a pack of 5 pretty soon. And that fight for the top 10 is always fierce. You want to be in those top 10 positions. 11th, pretty close to 10th, but just never feels quite as good.
Oh, that's the same thing as the 6th. You always think, I want to have that top 5. And currently
Exactly.
that top 5 is with Melody Chance, Barry Stockdale, and Greg Sharp, who is going to score nice points for his team. Important as well to get those final points in. Because I'm not sure if Scott Bell already landed, and is he going to be ready for another race?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. We'll have to see where kind of the team battle shakes out. I know there were a couple really close fights there, along with the fight that we were seeing today for the top 3 finishing positions in the league. I do believe actually now where Charlie Huddleston is, he's going to take over
look at this.
P3 in the championship.
I look in the back because I see Michael Rebeck and Richard Verboya fighting hard. Michael Rebeck goes out of there, but now has Dixon Davenport right behind there. This is going to be some interesting fighting for that 10th position. Who is going to get into that top 10? Is it Michael Rebeck? Needs some important points for his team, the Skippy Dogs.
Yeah, we saw how well Dixon Davenport did earlier on, being opportunistic and taking over some positions, and it looks like he's going to do it again. Takes the inside. Is he able to carry that speed through? He does hold it too wide. This next corner is very, very tricky, though, too wide, and he does a smart move in just pulling out of there. Not able to finish the overtake. Don't want to lose too much time and live to fight another day.
Yeah, and I think that's really different from the beginning when you see the drivers and the quality that they have right now. They can choose where they want to fight and where they it's not always an immediately the best moment, the best part to overtake. Then don't do it, and it will be over here. I'm curious to see what Michael Rebeck is going to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
so now it's time. Rebeck is kind of going to start thinking about how he's going to make a move. I think we've got 2 laps to go for them at the line, so 2 minutes remaining in this race. So it really is trying to measure your opponent here ahead and trying to figure out where you might have a little bit of advantage. It does look like Roboa has a little bit more speed through turn 1, even getting a little bit loose there, but able to hang on. They've also caught up to Craig Montgomery.
Yeah, and look at Dixie Davenport. Dixon Davenport is right behind there now, and it's actually he needs to look backwards than forward.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot could happen here, and as we've seen before, it's really easy just to touch a little bit of grass, especially through this back section of the track where you have to kind of take things very quickly. So yeah, I think Dixon Davenport's gonna have the run here to move up 1 position on Roboa as he takes the outside. He wasn't able to make the inside work last lap, so maybe making the outside work is the right call. He's able to get a nose ahead, but then Rebeck comes right back at him, and Rebeck saying, you know what, we're going to go too wide here. It's
nice.
the end of the race, and I need to hang on to this.
And
Davenport
we're
goes
going wide.
a little bit wide, able to hang on to the car, but not able to take that position. Crucially, though,
does it again, and now he is going to lose that position on Matt Malecki, who's going to overtake him, but still holds that car. Maybe he can come back to that one.
Yeah, and all the while, Roboa has now been able to drive away to hang on to that top 10 finish. So I do think with 1 lap remaining, Roboa definitely has the advantage here to hang on to that top 10 behind Craig Montgomery there in P9. So
well,
yeah, the top 10 now actually all spread out. No one's really in drafting position, but it is that fight for 12th and 13th between Malecki and Davenport now that is our closest fight on track. and 4 position as Davenport now goes down the inside heading into turn 2. There's a
Oh,
little bit of
contact.
contact.
Oh,
and Craig Montgomery's also around. So now,
all right, now we have a fight again.
Yeah, so that promotes Reback into the top 10. But now Davenport, Malecki have Craig Montgomery, who was going super, super fast behind. Davenport giving that position back, I think, thinking maybe that he was a little bit too aggressive there, giving the contact with Malecki. So he's saying, you know what, I'm going to do the sportsman-like thing here. Let's fight it out again in these final corners. So
and while you follow that one, I do want to go back to our winner of the race, Chaz Webber, who is really running away, is now 7.5 seconds and comes now over the finish line. Great work from him. Did a really good job. Was third qualification and moved his way up. Then we see Charlie Huddleston coming onto the second position. And right behind there is Melody Chance still fighting with Barry Stockdale, but that's definitely going to fight that he's going to win. And then we see Greg Sharp getting that top 5. Daniel Pagowski, how is the fight going on with 10th position?
So Reback is got 10th. Dixon Davenport, though, has just taken over 11th position for Matthew Malecki, hanging on through those final couple of right-hand corners, taking the inside line and coming across the line now.
Matt Malecki nearly loses that position because he can't hold it, or can he hold it?
He can hold it. He's onto it. I think TJ Brooks is actually lapped down there, still, though, it's always scary. You see a car in your rear view, and you're not necessarily sure if you're racing or not. But once again, massive shout out to Melody Chance for hanging on to that P3. Barry Stockdale doing a great job there at the end, try to get back close after that little bit of contact, and then Greg Sharp running out of the top 5. But yeah, for me, if I was voting for a driver of the day here, after the defending we saw from Melody Chance, after the speed that we saw from her and being able to pull away and the strategy she was able to employ, I would give her my driver of the day vote.
No, definitely. And of course, we shouldn't forget about Chaz Webber, because he doesn't win only this race, he wins the championship. It's probably going to be his last race. I'm not sure how you guys do promoting, but that guy needs to be promoted. I'd love to see him in Formula 1. We've already got many people from Formula 2 back in Formula 1, and yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. But what about Charlie Huddleston? He has shown us quite a bit of speed during the last races.
Yeah, do you believe Charlie Huddleston secured P3 in the championship, potentially overtaking Scott Allen, who didn't participate today? So we'll have to see how that shakes out, but it is going to be very, very close with a really strong P2 finish. But yeah, Charlie Huddleston showing great pace here, doing a really good job as we start to see the dog pile heading at the top of the hill. Skippy's firing in there, nose is flying off. A very, very good fun end to the season there. And of course, like you pointed out, Chaz Webber, a really, really great race today. In the end, it was by a pretty big margin to secure the championship. That's how you want to end your championship season. But absolutely, he's getting promoted to SF1. You're not allowed to win SF2 and return, so he is going to have to figure out how to find some extra pace next season in his fight up in the higher division.
I'm looking forward to that, and we're definitely going to have him in the interview booth. For now, we're going to take a small break, get everything ready for our last race of the season in Formula 1. I do think that the championship over there is also already known, the winner is known, but we are going to have some interesting fights, so hold on to your seat and All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Brands Hatch for our Formula 1 race. But Jeffrey, we do have someone special in the booth.
Yeah, so Chaz Weber, and not only the race winner, but also the season champion for SF2 and the latest promotee to SF1. First of all, congrats, Chaz. How does it feel?
I'm drenched in sweat. It's probably one of the toughest championships I've won. Came close in a GT3 league. But yeah, this one, you know, Scott Allen and Chris Georgiandellis really put the pressure to me all season. Sad to see Scott not here for the last race, but I think he's moving, so I hope his move is going well and hope to see him in future races.
Yeah. So I guess looking forward to next season now, you know, you had the challenge of the season. I think throughout the season too, you had a bunch of challengers. Georgiandellis was really, really fast early on in the season. You were able to kind of hang out in there. And Jake Ashe got a pole, I think, to start the year. Scott Allen, Greg Sharp, like, you know, Charlie Huddleston, this fast race. A lot of people really challenged you for the top, but you were kind of able to keep it consistent and hold on throughout the season. I guess what was your real key to doing that, to being able to kind of come in every week and be a name at the front of the grid?
I want to say racing with guys a whole lot faster than me, Leo, guys in World Cup, just, you know, having that pressure from guys behind, and you have to keep your cool in those situations. And then, you know, once they do get by, you're just driving the car. I mean, and then, you know, watching how they take corners, you know, really talking with Leo, hey, how do you do this? What are you doing here? And just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you picked a pretty good person to learn from. You know, this season will be his second championship in SF1. So, you know, getting promoted now, having to chase down Leo if you do want another championship and if you want to fight for those wins, are you going to take a different approach next season, trying to move up the grid, or is it very much, you know, see where you are and then move from there sort of thing?
Right now, I'm still undecided on what I'm going to run full time next season. I kind of do like bouncing around from car to car. I think for me, it helps my overall racecraft. And, you know, I took several seasons off of Skippy and went and drove GT3 and some other things, and then came back and really think that helped me. So I will run SF1. Don't know if I'll run a full season, you know, as a new promotee just yet. Might do some F4 and just change things up.
Hey man, I hear that. Listen, I won last season and I took this whole season off, so, you know, I can't blame you for deciding that maybe you want to go focus on other things and enjoy it a little bit more. I know it's a lot of work to pull out either of these championships, so yeah, really big congrats, man.
Well, Jeffrey, I do want to thank you for taking some time off and coming here in the booth. So maybe, Chaz, there is always room for experienced drivers. I'd love to have your opinion when you're not driving up here. Always welcome, but great victory. And yeah, you really earned it. Came back. I think you had some tough times in the beginning, but then you were solid and went to the top. And yeah, great to see this last race also as a victor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so Jeffrey, we're looking at Formula 1. We see Leo Oktarov in the front. I would nearly say, of course. But then look at number 6. Alex Alton is driving again really fast. Is a Formula 2 driver, or was a Formula 2 driver, and is now here. Look at that, comes onto that podium.
Yeah, really strong lap from Alton. Leo able to hang on and actually extend his advantage at the front here, now up to almost 6/10. So I do expect Herrera, Snavely, Pete, there we go. That was the next name I was going to get to. He chips that down to now 3/10. So Leo's still a little bit of a margin there, but yeah, challengers all around. Obviously, we don't have the P2 in the championship, Sam Devantier here tonight, but he has clinched P2 in the championship. Just like Leo's clinched P1. But actually, there is a really tight fight between Jeff Snavely and Pete McBride, just 2 points between them for that battle for P3 in the championship and the final trophy given out. So, yeah, the battle there between those guys, who are very close on pace right now, is going to be a tight one. Herrera has gotten a pole this season. I don't think Pete has yet, so maybe he might be a little bit hungry for a pole position here tonight. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, throughout the grid, I mean, even if we're looking back at RJ McKenzie in P10, doing really fantastic laps, started out in SF2 as well. Had a lot of pace there. And showing just how much that translates. So at least for Chaz, you know, looking into next season, he has these benchmarks of people who have moved up from SF2 into SF1. Yeah, he'll have to chase those guys down first, I think. But he may already be there. So this could be a confidence boost, I think, for Chaz looking into next season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we do have quite a bit of new drivers, either from Formula 2 or Formula 1, who just joined in. Wansi Ling is now on that 8th position. I'm looking forward to see him in our next season. He's learned a lot. I think he impressed me quite a bit in our last race. Had some bad luck, but still, I'm very looking forward to see what he can do in this race.
Yeah, definitely. Yancy Lin has been. Pete Broughton gets so close to pole position. Leo not able to improve on his final lap. Pete getting it down to 4/100ths. So yeah, things getting very tough there as Chris Herrera takes pole by 2/10, I believe. So Chris able to improve in that final lap, really put it together, finding another pole for the season. You know, we've seen Leo in this position before in P2, and he likes to get pretty aggressive in the first couple of corners to try to make that early overtake. But we do know Herrera also likes to hang on to that P1, so we'll have to see how that shakes out. But back to Yancy Lin. Sorry. Yeah, he's been super impressive, particularly in race pace. He's been kind of hit or miss in qualifying. I think this is a pretty good qualifying performance, just 6/10 off that pole position. But yeah, we've seen where, you know, he's been able to qualify in the top 5 before. So I think as he's getting used to the Skippy, you know, we'll start to see him more and more consistently in that top 5. But I do expect him to challenge that top 5 for position in the race tonight, because we have seen his race pace comes through, and he is very quick.
Yeah, we have a shout out for Brian Perez, the fastest man in Texas, because he is currently on 13th position. But more importantly, with Chaz Webber, is also in the lead of that team standing. Is really, I think they already won the championship over there as well. So Chaz Webber just keeps winning. I think the qualification is finished. Let's have a quick look if we can see some results coming up. We actually do, and look at that. Chris Herrera, 1st position. Leo Octaro, 2nd position, and then Pete Broughton. But don't forget Mike Bowers on 4th position with Jeff Snavely. I think that's going to be an interesting fight. And then all the way from Monaco, we got Scott Bell back in the house from Sparkburg Racing on that 6th position. I think that holiday did him well. Nice position to come back to. And then right behind him is Max DiGiacomo, RJ McKenzie, Wansi Ling, Alex Alton, Gurkan Demir, 11th position. Nice to see him right here close to that top 10. Aaron La, really good qualification for him. And if we go a little bit further back, I told Brian Press 13th, Justin Ribello 14th, Jeff Torbeck. I do want to say Jeff Torbeck really is rising, and I thought he was a top 10 in the championship. Love to see that. Andrew Cole, Nick Massa on the 17th position, Benjamin Harris, Darren Ribello 20th, and then Thomas Fodas, Charlie McCarthy, and I don't think Joshua Dancy is gonna race. Or are we gonna see something special, Jeffrey?
We'll see. I know he's been taking it a little bit easier. Sometimes he's been doing no qualification races, so he may grit up with these guys. He may just be in here for the driver's briefing. But you know what? If he's just in here for the driver's briefing, then we'll just talk about how many laps he is down and how horribly he did in this race.
Always good to see. So, Chess, what do you need to, if you give Pete Broughton also on the 3rd position, if you can give him some advice, what would you give him as advice?
I don't think I could give Pete Broughton any advice, because he's been doing this a lot longer and is a lot faster than me. So, I guess the only advice
you have more wins this season.
The only advice I could give him is stay calm and be patient. You know, it's very easy to see people pulling away, and you want to, you know, catch back up, and you start overdriving and just lose all that time.
I think that's pretty sound advice, as the grid is starting to fill out.
I think we are nearly there. Let's get the music out so we can hear those skippies getting up to this start. The lights are going on.
And they're off.
And we do see Aaron Laan not starting. Look at that, he's standing still.
Yeah, and Laan might have just not gotten it in gear and unfortunately stuck on the grid. As we do see the pack a little bit going too wide. Kevin Broughton actually going to make an early move on Leo down the inside of turn 2, as Leo kind of tries to hang on to the outside and maybe have a look at Chris Herrera. But this is exactly what Herrera will want to see in the rear view, as they do then file back in. So, you know, beat seasoned, wily old veteran, two-time champion in the league. He knows the things to do. He kind of saw an opportunity, wasn't able to make it stick, but decides, you know, I also don't want to lose a bunch of time trying to fight on the first lap.
And I think on that start, Alex Othon might have jumped the lights a little bit. I thought I saw some car movement. So be on the lookout for him. He might have to serve a black flag. But
he's right now on the gearbox of Yancy Lin. So yeah, looking a little fighty maybe, but yeah.
But
we'll
look at this, Leo Octarov takes
that
that first position, is right over there and wants to take that lead. We know that from Leo. Always wants to be in that first position, and right behind him, Chris Herrera now, Pete Broughton, Mike Bowers, Jeff Snavely, and then Scott Bell on the 6th position.
Yeah, so Leo making that move down the back straight. As you said, you know, he loves being in that position. Went for it, kind of had a couple looks in the early corners, but yeah, loves to be out in front. Loves to be able to exploit the tremendous amount of pace that he has. As Chris Herrera just tickles the grass a little bit, able to hold on. But yeah, down that back straight too, Herrera decided not to fight him too much. You know, maybe trying to play the long game here and see what sort of pack can break out of this.
And look at Jeff Snavely and Mike Bowers a little bit behind there. They're trying to see what they can do. And it is getting a bit tight over there. Scott Bell also needs to look out. He's fighting hard with, I think that's Max DiGiacomo right behind him, side by side.
Yeah, Max DiGiacomo having a look around the outside, getting into the grass a little bit on exit and losing a little bit of time there. And they've fallen just off a little bit the back of Jeff Snavely. They still are within draft range, but they really have to be careful. Any more fighting here could pull them off that top 5.
Yeah, a little further back, Brian Perez is getting really close to Gurkan de Meer. And then Justin Rebello, I expect that he's going to make a move. He's very unresty and going there, constantly has a look over there. But currently doesn't want to make that move yet on Brian Perez.
Yes, the Scott Bell still able to hold on to the back of Jeff Snavely. Things do accordion a little bit, so I do think as long as they don't fight here, they should be able to hang on to that group. But right now, we've got P1 through P19 all within drafting range of the car ahead of them. As I say that, nope, they're still within it. Scott Bell getting a little bit slidey here and there, but for the most part, everyone is attached right now in a long line of skippies.
Yeah, if we look at the track map, we just see them all stuck together. But I do think that Scott Bell is now losing a little bit of time. Curious to see what happens behind him. Because are they going to fight? No, it is Max DiGiacomo who really just got close. Doesn't want to take that fight because he knows if he's going to do that, then they're going to lose that first 5 people.
Yeah, and I am sure that Charlie McCarty came through the pits. He either had a penalty or maybe towed, and we didn't see quite what happened there. But yeah, he's now a lap down, unfortunately. So I do believe that's probably an incident and tow situation.
Yeah, that was an incident and tow situation. Just checked it, and he made a small mistake over there. We do see that Leo is now in that lead. But Scott Bell's not really losing it over there. 1.2 seconds. He can, if he can hold on to that.
Yeah, and the front pack is so tight to one another that all it takes is one person to kind of slip up a little bit, still stay within draft.
Oh, look at that. Max DiGiacomo goes to that inside of Scott Bell, and now it's also Arjun McKenzie. Arjun McKenzie is going really aggressive. And of course, Wansi Ling is looking over there, thinks he needs to be overtaking as well, because they're losing now Scott Bell. And while I say that, I want to say that Leo Octarov goes goes wide and loses a position on Chris Herrera.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the look by Max did slow them down to the point where they kind of lost the draft, but then the mistake up ahead by Leo going a little bit wide gives them back the draft. So now that top 5 has now become a top 15 again. And it's just that one little slip up, and all it takes is everyone to kind of have to check up just a little bit, and boom, you're right back on it. So this is really about playing, you know, a smart game. And we do see that it was kind of a forced error on Leo. Herrera going for that pass down the inside up the hill. And Leo not quite able to keep as tight as he needed to.
No, we go a little bit further back because Gurkin Amir has overtaken Max Di Giacomo right now. Max, who went wide and lost that position, and now needs to worry about Brian Perez right behind him. Wants to be in that top 10.
Yeah, Brian Perez still up 2 positions as well, so still in fantastic shape to have a very good finish here. Yeah, that pack is all very, very tight. Back to Steve Dewar.
Yeah, and we do see that Alex Alton went into the pit, so I do think, Chas, you were right about that movement in the start. He has to go all the way to the back to serve that penalty. That's unfortunate, but great to see for other drivers because they can take up his position. It's RJ McKenzie currently on that 7th position, trying to see if he can hold on to Scott Bell, because it seems that there is again a second group, and we see Justin Rebello going wide over there.
And it looks like Scott Bell's kind of caught in the middle of the 2 groups, towing the second one, but catching or having the tow of the first one.
Yeah, he's kind of right in the middle there, where you know, he needs to be a little bit further ahead to kind of get the grip or the extra tow from the cars ahead, but just out of range of the cars behind. So he'll kind of hope there's maybe another slip up ahead.
Oh, and look at this! Yeah, that's what's going on in that first position. They're fighting hard, and it was Chris Herrera who was hard defending, and then Leo Octaro nearly hit him, and right behind there, everybody stacks up.
Yeah, this is where all that patience comes into play. So if you have a little bit of patience, you can almost let the other drivers do the hard work for you by just running and being able to run clean laps. So as we saw, I think there's probably an attempt on Bell to overtake, a little bit of a mistake. He's been able to gain separation. Then just by running these clean laps, he's right back up and now in the battle for potentially a win here with this lead group.
Well, and look at Leo, because Leo is not done yet, and he's going to see if he can run that outside line here up here. Goes really wide, and yes, oh, he just overtakes on the long straight, and he wants to take that first position. Great to see the fight between Chris Herrera and Leo on the moment, but Mike Bowers is really, really well done, and on that 3rd position, just looking and trying to see if he can save as much fuel as possible. And look at that, yes, Chris Herrera goes again.
Yeah, all of this top 5 are race winners in SNS, and Leo just running wide again into the grass, now forced to go side by side with Mike Bowers, as Mike is going to come out ahead and take over from P2 in the draft. Pete kind of having a look now at Leo's gearbox, not quite room to make it happen, but I think everyone's going to be pretty happy to be in this top group right now.
You do see
now having a look around the outside, tucks back into the inside, so throws a little bit of a dummy to the outside, able to hang on, and Leo now forced to kind of settle for P4 here, heading down into turn 2. No one really able to make up any more position. Oh, Leo goes for an early dive down the inside.
Oh!
A little bit of he is now around.
That was too bad. Pete Broughton immediately goes back to the pit.
Yeah, unfortunately for Pete, you know, I think it was a pretty close call for Leo, whether or not he had overlap before that turn-in point there. It did seem like a little bit of late braking maybe got him into that range. But yeah, for a championship leader, probably a little bit riskier maneuver than I would be willing to do at this point. But going back to Scott Bell, another beneficiary of just what's happening ahead of him. Now in a solid P5 with a gap behind to Yancy Lin.
Oh, so, don't say that because he immediately goes off track. But can hold on.
That's the rally line, and I support the rally line 100%. I will not take that as a curse.
That's a nice one, and Scott can hold on, and he is still in that 5th position, straight up to Jeff Snavely. Jeff Snavely is, and he does it again. He goes, that rally mode is really on there. I don't know what happened in Monaco, but Scott Bell is all the way going off track.
All right, he may be embracing the rally line a little bit more than I would suggest at this point now, but he's still just hanging on to the gearbox. And again, we've seen this top group is really enjoying the fight as they now go too wide. Bowers kind of having a look at Herrera, setting up for a cutback, but Herrera does a really, really good job of holding the apex. Leo now in there, so Bell still very much in this mix because this top group is insisting on fighting very, very hard early on here. Some of these guys don't have a win this season. I don't think Bowers has a win this season. I'm not sure about Snavely either. And then, so all these guys kind of looking for their win. Leo in the hunt for matching the most wins in a season in Sunday Night Skippy. So he, despite having a championship, has records on the line. So there's just a lot going on here. Everyone kind of fighting for their own little carrot. So yeah, we'll have to see as Leo now takes the inside on Mike Bowers heading up.
Well, and if you don't look now, but if you look a little bit further back, it's Gurken de Meer who now overtakes Wansi Ling right behind there. And if the group in front is really going to fight one more time, then I think they're going to have 4 new drivers, because it's even Brian Perez now 4 positions up on that 9th position who can hold on to there. And I think, yeah, that's even RJ McKenzie. Look at that. RJ McKenzie is holding on a 10th position, and he can actually be a winner over there. And while I say that, look at that. Max Giacomo goes to that rally mode. I think they heard you, and now everybody tries to impress Jeffrey.
I mean, sometimes the tire's a little hot. You got to cool them down in the grass over there. So, hey, rally mode works. I'm telling you.
Oh, and look at this. Chris Herrera goes straight into the pits. Doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, he's making that early dive into the pits. He's thinking, maybe if everyone's fighting so much, I can benefit from just having some cleaner lapping. He has also led quite a bit of the race, so it's possible that he just needed to come in for fuel. We'll kind of see where Leo comes in. If Leo comes in this lap to cover him off, I think that's probably the right call. But Leo might also be very, very confident in his pace and confident that, Mike's not going to really attack him here. So we'll see how things shake out. I do believe this is a 2-stopper.
And Lucas Gurken de Meer goes completely wide. Still can hold that, but that's got to be a penalty, or that's got to be at least a black flag over there. Curious to see if he has to serve that, but it's Maxi Giacomo now completely on the back of him. Wansi Ling also lost a position, but is still holding on to there together with Perez and RJ McKenzie.
Yeah, so some of these early pit stickers, I do think Herrera and Olthon could benefit from this, depending on how the groups fight that they were in before. So right now, I'm kind of thinking Olthon is gonna be the winner here in that group. There are a couple of mistakes going on, still some fighting. The lead group, though, is kind of settled down, and that might be bad news for Chris Herrera. So we'll have to see how that shakes out.
Well, a little bit further back, 12th position, Aaron La has finally found his machine to start working, and is really having a lot of speed. He's now right behind Steve Durr, and Jet Korbeck is behind him. So this could be a nice group if they can catch up with Justin Rebello. And while I say that, Leo Oktarov does go into the pit right now. So he will cover off Chris Herrera. Rest of the group continues.
And I'm seeing both Gurken de Meer and Max Giacomo had some contact. It's not clear if they were trying to go into the pit entry, but now they are blocking the pit entry just a little bit. But yeah, it looks like Gurken de Meer got a little bit loose on entry into that final corner. Max Giacomo unable to avoid him.
Okay, yeah, you can see that. I see Max going straight into Gurken de Meer. And then we do see a nearly incident with him while everybody's trying to pass him. Luckily, there will be a fast repair for him.
Yeah, so not the worst place in the world to have damage, because you can just drop into the pits and take care of that. We're actually seeing that Chris Herrera back at the front, that fight for the lead, did pull out a little bit of a gap over Leo.
Oh, and what is Scott Bell doing? Bell nearly lost that car and is losing a little bit of time on Mike Bowers and Jeff Snavely. Not enough to completely lose it, but that was a bit exciting. That rally line is gonna break him up at one point. Curious to see if those guys are coming in right now. Oh,
he tried to open that corner up just a hair too much.
Guys, and I do want to say, Leo Oktarov, is he missing Chris Herrera? Look at that. Chris Herrera is now really far away. And
yeah,
then
Herrera,
Nick Massa is right in between there.
Yeah, Herrera able to make the pit stop work. I'm showing that Leo was about a second longer in the pit lane, despite their pit stop time being pretty close. So I'm not really sure what happened there. Leo usually able to kind of cut the margins very, very close there. Critically for Herrera, he was able to clear Nicholas Mazza, and Mazza kind of worked with him a little bit. Leo just getting into Mazza's draft now, so as long as Mazza can stay with Herrera, then Leo is still in the fight, as Herrera, pushes it right to the limit of the track, tickling the grass, but not enough to kick the car a little bit loose. So Herrera really having a good feel for the track boundaries and where the pace is right now. So he's
and look at that,
fine.
Mike Bowers gets out and can really go straight behind Leo Oktarov. If he can hold on to that, then that whole group comes back together. So we do see some blue flags or people who are giving space.
Yeah, so Charlie McCarty was a lot down to, so he's out there, he's saying, you guys go ahead through. I'm not going to fight you. Leo, though, has Nicholas Mazza ahead. Mazza doesn't have to move over. He hasn't pitted yet. He's not going to have blue flags. This is as much his fight as he wants it to be, especially thinking, maybe I can hang on to some quicker guys' draft. Leo now getting pretty close. It might be tight at the end of this back straight. I think
he's going to go the inside.
He's going to want to go for it.
He's going to go for the inside.
He's kind of got to go. He just gets a wheel in, able to get through there. The hope there is that he can kind of gain some separation from Mike Bowers and now use his pace to catch back up to Chris Herrera. Just outside of drafting range right now. But yeah, Leo's super quick. Herrera's super quick. It's really hard to call this one.
Nice to see. We see Brian Perez going now into the pit. He's currently on the 7th position, but will fall down a little bit more.
I do also want to say an understated part of this is that we've seen this a lot from Jeff Snavely, where he's able to save a bunch of fuel and stay out longer than the others, and it has worked for him different weeks. Scott Bell also hanging in with Jeff Snavely, so let's not forget about these guys in their pursuit for the win as well, because they've saved a bunch of fuel now, so they might have a benefit of a short stop at the end of the race.
Yeah, because Jeff, we do have 2 pit stops in this race as well.
Yeah, so still plenty of time. It's a 45-minute race. We've still got 27 minutes to go. A lot has already happened, and a lot is going to happen here, especially with how tight this fighting has been thus far.
Yeah, and look at that fight with Steve Durr and Jeff Torbeck. And I think that is that Andrew Cole? No, Andrew Cole's a little bit further back. They're having a nice battle with the 3 of them. I don't know how Aaron Law did that. He's currently on the 6th position. I remember that he was standing still at the start.
Yeah, I mean, standing still at the start, there's really little fire under him in terms of pace here. He's been able to make back quite a bit of time. This top 10 or so hasn't come into the pits yet, so we're not quite sure on the final position for these guys so far as they shuffle down. But even just getting back up to Steve Durr, you kind of know you've done something right. As I do actually show that Aaron Law's now past Steve Durr, so yeah, he's on a mission now to make up for that early mistake.
Yeah, and we do see that Scott Bell, Justin Rebello, and RJ McKenzie are now into the pit, and that means that Jeff Snavely, as expected, is now the last one who still has some fuel over there, and it's Wan Ling. I'm curious. Wan Ling is quite a tactic. What I noticed in our last interview with him. Curious to see what he's going to do in this race.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough at a track like this where there's a lot of fighting going on, making the call of whether you should come in early or stay out late. At some point, you're going to want some clear running, and so that's kind of always the goal. As we do see Scott Bell come out, he's got a little bit of a gap to Mike Bowers ahead, so it does look like he's fallen off of that pack. As we do now see Leo get onto the gearbox of Chris Herrera and in drafting range, and Mike Bowers just outside of their drafting range. And this is the point for Bowers where you gotta hope in the next couple of laps you can really latch onto these guys, because if they start working together, or even just if Leo uses that draft effectively, that close to a second gap becomes 2 seconds very quickly.
Jeffrey, what's the chance that Leo and Chris are gonna work together? They love to fight. They love to fight.
Yeah, I mean, they both do definitely love to jockey for position, fight, go wheel to wheel. They're both also very that at it, so they don't lose a lot of time if they're doing everything right and everything's really clicking for them. So, I mean, Bowers is still very much in a tough position. That said, Scott Bell, I think, is in a good position for his second stop to make up time. So as long as he can keep pace with Mike Bowers, he still has a podium potential there. And then again, Jeff Snavely, wild card here, staying out longer than almost everyone else. As I do see,
but
he is now in the
yeah,
pit.
he's now going into the pit.
So yeah, just a lap longer. So we'll have to see where he comes out. But I
I'm
do think
curious
he's going to fill up. And the final stop is really going to be where that strategy comes into play. I don't expect him to be right with these guys on pit exit, but I do expect the final stop, as long as he has the pace, he'll be able to pull right back in with them.
Well, this is a little bit longer than expected. And look at this. Wansi Ling is actually coming right behind him out. So he has done a really, really good job on it. And they're both now losing out on Chris Herrera and Leo Oktarov. I think Mike Bowers is a little bit falling back. So it is really going to be the fight between Chris Herrera and Leo Oktarov.
Yeah, and a lot of this time that we're seeing in between them right now is all about pit stop time. So they've filled those tanks to the brim because they used more fuel as well. So I do think still that they've got like a 3 to 4 second advantage in their second stop here, if I'm kind of paying attention to everything correctly. So it is possible we see this stuff shrink again, and Snavely, Yancy Lin, and Scott Bell are right back up with Mike Bowers. Although he does have 5 seconds now out with them, so he's showing that his pace is good, and that maybe he wants that podium position as well.
Yeah, well, we said that. I do want to have a quick look at the overtake that Leo Oktarov did. Wanted to have that inside really, really badly and just took it over there. And that's the fight is on. They're going to start to see if they can overtake him. Curious to see if Chris Herrera immediately going to do an overtake, or is he going to wait?
Yeah, I mean, my call in this position would be to wait. The championship standings are kind of settled. I don't think Chris can really move up in the championship. It is possible maybe he's in that P3 fight. He is like 10 points down, but it's possible he can make it happen. Still, I think for me, I'd be thinking race win. And in my opinion, the best option for race win right now is to try to save a little bit of fuel before that final stop. That said, it's not the most fun thing to do, and these guys are out there to also have fun. So, if a little bit of wheel-to-wheel battling comes into play, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, we're currently watching the fight for position number 4. Jeff Snavely, Scott Bell, and it's also Wansi Ling who is now really straight on to there.
Yeah, Bell making a really good move down into turn 1 to take over P5 once again. As we said before too, Yancy Lin with a great strategy call to get back up to these guys in the fight for top 5. So I think this group is kind of stuck together. Their pace all looks pretty similar. Their strategy call all is falling in line with one another. So even when they get to the second stops, they are going to be stuck together like glue. And Sky, yeah, getting a good run down the back straight. Opting maybe not to go for it there, thinking, you know what, I'm better off if I kind of hang out just a little bit longer.
Yeah, so that's this group, and then right behind there is Brian Perez. Brian Perez, the teammate of Chaz Webber. Chaz, what do you have to say about Brian? What kind of driver is he?
He's really a good driver, and I was reading Discord today, and I think he's sick. So to be in P7, he's doing a fantastic job, even being under the weather.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's the cold boost, man. He's not feeling well, but it's smoothing him out, and he's looking pretty good, I'd say. This might be one of Brad's best performances up to this point in the race, actually. So it is really nice to hear. Or it's crazy to hear, I guess. Not nice to hear that he's sick. That's awful. But crazy to hear that he's not feeling well and doing this well in this race. It's like a Lando Norris performance,
Yeah. You want to be there. You want to be there when you win that championship. I think it's the first one for Brian Perez in the team standings together with you. So, no, I really like to see that. And Mike Bowers is holding on. He's still 2.1 seconds, but... it's going to be tight for Scott Bell and Jeff Snavely to actually come back again with Wansi Ling right behind them.
Yeah, so Bowers has been able to extend his lead over the guys in 4th through 6th. But crucially, he's also been able to hang on pretty closely to Chris and Leo. So it really depends, I think, on how their second pit stop goes and how much they can all keep up this pace. If Leo and Chris fight even just a little bit, that puts Mike right back in it, especially because he did pit just a lap later than them, so we'll have to take a little bit less fuel. So he's definitely still in it for the win as well. And again, 20 minutes to go. So much can happen at this point in the race. We're seeing a lot of tight battles, though. Leo and Chris are within drafting range of each other. We do have that P4 through P6 group of Scott Bell, Tianzi Lin. Right behind them, again, Brian Perez doing a great job of holding off Justin Rebello and RJ McKenzie. Then another group of 3 with Dewar, Aaron Law, and Jeff Torbeck. And then another group of 3 down into 15th when we're talking about Thomas Photo, Andrew Cole, and Darren Rebello. So a lot happening on track between all of these drivers. And they all have yet to take their second pit stop. So we're going to shuffle the cards again not too long from now, I think. As we just pass over the 20-minute mark, I do think probably the first pit stops are going to trickle in with around 18 minutes to go, maybe a little bit further on.
Look
like
at this, we do see a fight for position number 13. It's Cole who actually passes Photos right over there. Goes on that outside and we can hold that car. And that's very close.
Photo's doing a good job of holding the inside there. And like we saw earlier in the race, if you go for that overtaking attempt and you can't quite make it stick, you might be the person to lose out. Now, Andrew Cole's actually lost out, giving up that position to Darren Rebello.
Yeah, I think that T1, it's very hard to make that outside line work just with how much speed you have to carry, the undulation, the sand on your left. I think the inside line there is the preferred line if you're going to, you know, either over under it or just hold the inside, because more times than not, the guy on the outside is going to wash out carrying too much speed or getting loose.
Yeah, it also just does seem like if you can't get fully ahead on that outside line, you really are, behind it at that point, because you're heading down to turn 2 on that tight right-hander, and the inside line there just seems to be a little bit easier to run consistently and get a better exit out of.
Agreed.
Let's have a quick look at position number 4. We see Scott Bell trying to defend quite hard on Jeff Snavely, and it does work really well. But I am curious about Wansi Ling, and I do see in the back Brian Perez is now fighting with Justin Rebello, takes that inside line, Justin Rebello, and wins that position over there.
We're seeing Brian go to the outside, but unfortunately that opens up the door.
Side by side over there.
Forcing him into a side-by-side through turn 2. Luckily, he's able to hang on to that, but they're going to want to file back in to not lose Justin Rebello here, because that fight for P7 is still very much on. Oh, no, and Brian gets a little bit loose there. Does give up the position to RJ now, and he's just going to fall out of draft, I think, with that slide. Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, overtaken in turn 1, had to defend it in turn 2, and then losing it a little bit later, just running a bit wide. But Brian has showed very, very good pace here, and I do think he'll have a good chance to catch back up to those guys.
Well, let's go back to the front for that to see what happens to Leo Octarov and Chris Herrera. I think you're right. They're just not fighting anymore. It's nothing like Chris Herrera, but he's just tucking back in on Leo and trying to see if they can really drive away from Mike Bowers, and it seems that that works quite well.
Yeah, they've gained a couple of times, but now, Herrera's decided...
You say it. Yeah, you say it, and he goes into it.
He has a look. He backs back out of it. This is a tactic that we've seen Chris use before. He does like to kind of get in the driver's head ahead. Even if he doesn't want to make the overtake, he kind of always wants you to remember that he's there. So he'll put himself in your mirrors. He'll have a look. He'll try to see if maybe he can force you into a mistake by having you defend essentially against air, because he'll go for something that isn't really a move to try to see if he can throw you off your game. So Leo not falling for it there. They didn't really lose any time to Mike Bowers, so it didn't really hurt them at all. But yeah, a tactic that, Chris can use to try to start getting in Leo's head and maybe have him think a little bit more about the car behind him than the road ahead of him.
How's Scott Bell holding on? Is he going to take that overtake on Jeff Snavely, or are they going to just wait for that last lap?
So
it looks like they're very glued to each other.
Yeah, so Snavely took back that position from Bell. Bell opting not to go for the overtake here. Snavely has benefited a lot from fuel saving here, so maybe Scott's kind of thinking the same thing. I need to use that a little bit. Snavely does touch the dirt there, able to hold on though. We've seen a lot of that tonight, both in SF2 and SF1. A lot of tickles of the grass and dirt. cars snapping loose, but everyone able to hold on for the most part, showing really, really great car control out there. So really good job by Jeff Snavely hanging on to that
Yeah,
one.
and while you say that, Leo Optarov and Chris Herrera go into the pit, and a nice fight over here on the 10th for 10th position. Aaron La and Steve Durr together with Jeff Torbeck still in that battle.
Yes, it's right at the 15-minute mark. So exactly 2/3 of the way into this race. So their final stint in the race will be about 1/3 of the race to go. I also do see that Alex Olthon has come in for his second pit stop as well. So we'll see where he files out with them. Leo able to beat Chris out of the pits just by a hair. I do still think that Chris, I don't know, Chris has fallen a little bit further behind than I expected at first. So it does look like Leo has now benefited from a gap, and it's actually out to 1.8, almost 2 seconds coming out of the pits. So not entirely sure what happened there, but Herrera losing out just a little bit there.
Yeah, but now
Yeah.
Leo Optarov is going straight into the fight with Jeff Torbeck and Steve Durr and Aaron La. Curious to see what that's going to make it happen.
Yeah, I do suspect, if you run into one car coming out of the pits, and
Oh,
Dewar getting a little bit loose, that helps out Leo a little bit there. Herrera also going to get maybe a benefit of just a touch of draft, and I don't think we'll have to fight Steve. Steve generally knows who he's racing on track and kind of knows when someone's had a little bit more pit stops than him. So yeah, he's going to file into Chris, in behind Chris, and see if he can hang on to his draft, maybe pull him back up to that group. But yeah, Leo has to now navigate these two cars. If it's one car to pass, sometimes it's not a big deal, but two cars in a fight can be a little bit more difficult. So it may be the case that Leo ends up losing a little bit of time here and pulls Chris back into it, but we'll have to see.
well, it looks like Steve Durr can actually hold on to Chris Herrera quite easily. Nice to see that happening. And while I say that, once he goes into the pit, oh, and we do see Justin Rebello crash together with RJ McKenzie. Exactly what happened over there.
And we're seeing Rebello now heading into the pits.
Oh,
so yeah, maybe
that was RJ McKenzie who hit him in the back. And yeah, immediately Justin Rebello has to go into the pit together with RJ McKenzie.
Yeah, I suspect that maybe Rebello was thinking, I'm going to go into the pits, and RJ wasn't quite prepared for the little bit of pace loss there. You do have to run on the What's your call? We're back. All right, we're back on sound now. Sorry for a little bit of technical difficulties here tonight. So yeah, just to summarize, Leo has now gotten through the traffic that he was trying to navigate. Herrera, though, within draft of that traffic, as Aaron Law tries to hang on to the back of Leo, Herrera hanging on to the back of Aaron Law. Those guys still very much in a fight, but none of them are getting blue flags because they're all in different pit strategies. That's also giving Mike Bowers an opportunity to catch back up with them to try to get in that fight for the win as well. Jan Thielen's fallen a little bit off of there, so I don't think he's in the contention for the podium at this point in time. But again, Steve Dewar, Jeff Torbeck, and Aaron Law doing a really, really good job of hanging in the draft of these guys who are fighting for the win and showing just how close the pace is throughout the field and just how much they can do if given the opportunity to run with these guys. So they're definitely taking advantage of this situation by saying, hey, you know what, if I can stay with this faster guy, I can make up a lot of time here. So we'll see if that plays into their hand later on. It does look like Torbeck made a little bit of a mistake and is now falling off the back of Herrera. But again, Herrera and Leo split up by Aaron Law, and I do believe when Law comes into the pits, Chris is close enough now that I think he may still hang on to draft, but we'll see. All right, so now Scott Bell has come into the pits. We'll see how that strategy works out. Again, Jeff Snavely, the last to stay out, getting those laps led, getting bonus points. So it's very, very possible that he's put himself in a good position points-wise in this race to hang on to P3 in the championship ahead of Pete McBroughton, who unfortunately had that contact earlier in the race. Scott Bell now pulling away out of the pits as our leaders go by, or our suspected leaders go by. And if he can stay out ahead of Yancy Lin, I do believe he's able to do that. So yeah, Scott Bell running at least in P5, maybe a P4 here. So a really, really nice race for him. A little bit further back, we're still seeing Brian Perez and Justin Rebello battle it out. Those two sticking to each other like glue. Brian Perez all over the gearbox now heading into turn 2, trying to make the outside work. Looking for those positions once again, not quite able to do it. Files back into line, but I do think he's set up very, very nicely for a run down this back straight. So I'd love to stay with this and see if he's able to maybe have a run down the back straight if he can get a good exit. We've had a little bit of moment before. It also looks like Chris Herrera has now cleared Aaron Law. He is just out of draft of Leo, but Leo maybe runs a little bit wide there. Things are very, very close, 1.3 seconds. So on aggregate, they're about 2 seconds away from one another. Now just 1.3, so he did make up a little bit of time, and now it's all about raw pace as they head towards the main straight, through the final corner, towards the main straight. I think Chris is going to be able to do this here. 1.2, 1.3 seconds. Seeing that guy so close, there's a lot of motivation to run really, really tight, smooth lines. And I think that's what we're going to see. It does look like Brian Perez was able to make... Oh, no, he wasn't able to make that pass on Justin Rebello, unfortunately, further back. But he's still very much in that fight as well. Most of the field now has come in for their second stop. We have maybe a handful of drivers who haven't done that second stop. And so we'll have to see. I think Jeff Snavely, again, going to be the last one to come into the pits. But we do still have Aaron Law, who's hanging on to Chris Herrera, Jeff Torbeck, and further back, Darren Rebello, who need to come into the pits. Just as I said that, Darren Rebello does come into the pits. So now just 3 drivers still needing to make that second stop. Mike Bowers is also dragging along Jeff Torbeck. So Jeff Torbeck doing a great job of hanging in there, hanging onto that gearbox, and hopefully using the speed of Mike Bowers to pull him along. But I do think the 2 big battles right now, in terms of draft position, are between Justin Rebello and Brian Perez, as well as RJ McKenzie and Steve Dewar. RJ McKenzie and Steve Dewar are running very, very, very closely together. And they have both made their second stop. So that is going to be 4 position until the end. Steve Dewar, as we've said many times, has run the most SNS races of any other driver. So he has a lot of experience on how to handle these situations. RJ McKenzie, a lot of raw pace here, a little bit more of a newcomer. And so I think those guys are going to be really evenly matched. as we see Steve head to this corner pretty close, slowly reeling in RJ. So I do think a potential overtake opportunity is happening here as we just drop under 5 minutes left, not only in the race, but in the season. Jeff Snavely's now coming to the pits. It looks like he is going to lose out to Mike Bowers, although, yep, not quite in draft there. So the top 5 now, all separated by more than what is in draft range. And just as I say that now, Jeff Snavely moving in and out of that draft range of Mike Bowers. So we might have a fight for P3, but it does look like Scott Bell is hanging on to a really nice P5 with a pretty decent gap to Yancy Lin further back. As I say that, let's move up to that battle between Jeff Snavely and Mike Bowers. Snavely just trying to hang on to the gearbox there, trying to say, hey, you know what, I'm still here, let's do this thing. And realistically, all it takes is a little bit of fighting from those guys to, again, get Scott Bell right back in it. We've seen him be very, very methodical in how he's making up time this race by using the fighting of other cars to get back in the drafting range. So let's see if he can kind of pull that one more time. It does look like Snavely's lost out a little bit here on this lap, but it is really, really close. Also, after those pit stops, Aaron Law did a great job of hanging on to the draft and was actually able to move up past both Jeff Torbeck and Justin Rebello. He's now sitting in P8, but that is a tight group of 3, all having made their final pit stops. Surprisingly enough, Brian Perez actually the big winner there. He was fighting with Justin Rebello. I'm not sure what happened now, but Brian Perez having a little bit of a gap ahead.
And look now at Justin Rebello actually overtakes Jeff Torbeck right over there, but Jeff Torbeck comes straight back at him, goes to see if he can get that outside line. But Jeff is, I don't think he's there yet, but maybe in the first corner. Look at that, he's going to make the move very, very early over there. Goes to that inside line.
Yeah, Jeff doing a great job of picking the preferred line early on, able to hang on to it, and now heading into turn 1, having the advantage through turn 1 and down into turn 2. And it looks like he's going to make that overtake stick. Rebello not giving him an inch, though, and fighting back. You do see that you get a little bit more of an exit advantage on the outside there in turn 1. But then the inside here usually wins out. We'll see if Rebello can just hang on to it. He does, and actually he does a great... and the two come together. It's the tricky part that you have to play there is that leaving the space is very, very difficult with all those faster corners. You want to keep the momentum, and sometimes, unfortunately, that happens. One car can run a little bit wide or kind of misjudge their entry. So, unfortunately for both of them, falling back. But that has also given Steve Dewar and RJ McKenzie a couple of positions, as Dewar is all over the gearbox of McKenzie, heading towards the turn at the end of the back straight. I do think he's waiting for the final lap of this race to make something happen. And I do think that maybe Leo is going to push us into 2 more laps. We'll see if he gets the white flag at the line. He does actually get the white flag, so we are on the final racing lap. I do think Leo's gap is also going to hang on to it.
Well, look at Jeff Snavely and Mike Bowers, because they're now going side by side on that last lap, and it is Mike Bowers who can hold on to that. But immediately Jeff Snavely comes back to him. This is going to be who's going to be on that podium. Is it going to be Mike Bowers? Haven't seen him in a while, so it would be great to have him over there. Or is it, of course, Jeff Snavely, who is taking a little bit of a track on that third position?
Yeah, so Bowers doing a good job of holding the outside into turn 2, taking the inside into turn 3, which gives him the advantage here. But the disadvantage down the back straight, I don't think I would do what Snavely just did in going for the move down the inside here, heading onto the back straight, because he's lost the advantage of draft, and Mike has the preferred inside line. So I do think Mike is going to win out in this situation, provided he keeps his foot in it up at the end of the back straight. Snavely getting a little bit better exit here, but I do think Mike is going to be better off in this set of 2 right-handers. Although Jeff doing a great job of maintaining more speed there, Mike just losing out on the overlap, but able to get back in it. And Jeff with a fantastic move to make that overtake stick. Like I said, I thought he was at a disadvantage there, but he's actually proven me very, very wrong, as Mike now falls off a little bit more, running into the grass. So Snavely with a great move to take over that P3 spot. As we go back to our leader real quick, Leo Avcharov going to come across the line 8 wins on the season, tied for the most ever in a Sunday Night Skippy season. Takes the championship on that. Chris Herrera not too far behind in P2 with a great battle. As we see Jeff Snavely with a really, really strong performance to take P3 in the championship and P3 in this race. Mike Bowers very close behind.
I want to have a quick look at Steve Durr and RJ McKenzie, because RJ McKenzie has still taken that lead.
Yeah, two are now going to have the inside run to the line. McKenzie leaves a lot of space there, so he loses a little bit of time. Steve, though, not getting the benefit of draft. It's going to be very close, but I do think McKenzie just hangs on.
Oh, wow. That was a very close battle. Battle a little bit further back is Alex Olton and Nick Massa.
Yeah, we also have Alex.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that was. I'm sorry. Yeah, so Alex Olton and Nicholas Mazza pretty close, but Mazza not quite able to get there. Those guys are fighting for P12, I believe, or P13. And then, yeah, further back now, we have Gurkhan Demir just coming across the line. He's going to take home P15. Thomas Photos, 16. And I think that is everyone who's come across the line. Yeah, Darren Rubello has finished in P17. A lap down, along with Jeff Torbeck in 18th, Charlie McCarty in 19th, Benjamin Harris coming in 20th, and then Max Giacomo 21st, and Pete McBrodin in 22nd. And unfortunately, yeah, we saw that incident with Pete, so I think not what he would have wanted from this race. But I think he's got to take away some positives too, that he had a lot of good pace today, and that carries over into next season for sure.
Yeah, it's great to see him coming really back to his regular pace, because we don't forget Pete McBrodin, 2-time champion, and we do have Leo Oktarov then joining him, because he is going to be another champion as well. Oh,
yeah, two-time champion now for Leo. It's a club of 3. It's a hard club to be in. Yeah, I think going into next season, if he decides to spend as much time as he does in the Skippy year, he might be challenging for the first 3-time champion in Sunday Night Skippy.
I'm very curious to see that. Well, why don't we talk about our championship holder, Leo Oktarov. Welcome in the booth.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going? Nice win, bud.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't say for sure, but this may be the first time in Sunday Night Skippy history that we've had both champions in the last race of the season. So you guys get to take home the victory in the final race, and then also take home the victory in the championship. But Leo, how does it feel? Second championship. Yeah, well done, man.
It feels great. It was definitely hard fought. It was not easy. And yeah, I'm very happy with the result and happy with the season how it ended up. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad it's over. I can rest now for a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, speaking of rest, what's the plan next season? Are you going to carry this momentum in? It looked like Chris was challenging you there at the end. We saw good challenges from Sam Devantier, Jeff Snavely, who took P3 in the championship. Pete was back here this week, doing a great job, and then a bunch of other drivers, including Mike Bowers, Yancy Lin, Carl Drunke, all able to challenge for those podiums and wins. So, yeah, what do you got to do next season to stay on top?
Just continue to improve. Just work on my racecraft, my technique, and hopefully we can get another great result next season. And yeah, with unfortunate what happened with Pete, I'll have to look that over. I'm pretty sure that was my fault, so I'm sorry about that, Pete.
Yeah, I think an unfortunate contact there. It was hard racing. That top group really getting fighty early on. So unfortunately, sometimes those things will happen. But yeah, I mean, I guess speaking of fights, really, Chris Herrera's in the booth. But yeah, I guess talk us a little bit about, real quick, Leo, what you think the difference was tonight in being able to beat Chris, because it did seem very, very close between you guys.
I think it ultimately came down to just the pit stops, because he was basically on par, if not faster than me on pace, and I think just getting that lucky gap in the second pit stop, and then being able to pass traffic cleanly and at the right spots definitely helped out a lot. After that, it was just a matter of putting together clean laps, consistent laps, not messing up, definitely not dipping a tire into the grass and spinning myself out. So I had to really, really concentrate at the end there to not allow Chris to come back into draft range and challenge again. So again, that was very, very, very fortunate. If it wasn't for that, I mean, honestly, it was going to be a toss-up. Either I was going to win or Chris was going to win at the end.
Yeah, and Chris, congrats on P2. Congrats on the pole as well. It's been very, very hard to get since Leo joined the league. Yeah, Chris, just talk us a little bit about the race and what the difference was here, and maybe where you could have pulled it out where you didn't quite get to tonight.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, congrats to Leo on the win and for the season championship. I think that's the second or third season championship, but I think I felt very good about the pole, but then I just looked at the results and I saw that Leo only got his third lap in, so I'm guessing he messed up somewhere in the fourth lap. But either way, I was still happy to get the pole, and like you guys were saying, it was getting pretty fighty at the beginning. And you know what? I think I need to start getting a little bit more risky with how much fuel I take. I have JRT set to, I don't remember what extra percentage on there, but I thought I was fuel saving right before the second pit stop behind Leo. That's why I wasn't going for too many passes, or any, I think, at all. And somehow he still came out ahead of me, and I think I got to be more aggressive with how much fuel I take, as well as just be more consistent with the laps. I felt pretty good about my pace today, but I think Leo was just way, way, way more consistent, so he was putting together many more fast laps in a row than I was. And like he was saying, after that second pit stop, not only did he come out ahead of me outside of the draft, but then we had to go through some lap traffic as well. I don't think they were even lapped at the moment. They were on the same lap. And I thought I might get lucky towards the end. On the last straight, I got a little bit of draft, and I got within 1.2 seconds of Leo. And then I think I got in my own head, and I started making a couple mistakes, and I let him pull too far away. But a very fun race. Again, congrats to Leo, congrats to Jeff on P3, and I'm looking forward to taking a little break, and then I'll be back next season.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of this season, it was a strong season for you in general. A couple wins, couple poles. So for you, I think, you've got to feel confident in carrying some momentum into next season as well to challenge this guy, Leo, right?
Yeah, I feel way more confident than I did at the beginning of the season. I think watching you two battle for last season and the season before, like I said before, it gave me a lot of inspiration, but it also let me know how much work I had to put in. And, I had a very unfortunate start to the season for this particular season, so I'm pretty happy. I think I'm top 5, at least, for the season championship. But in terms of competing with Leo and then Sam again, and I believe Adam's going to be joining us, and then, all the other cast of characters that are already in here, I am looking forward to next season, and I've definitely gotten faster over the past season. So a lot of that is just the racecraft of Leo and the other guys, and just focusing on qualifying as well, which is something I haven't really focused on a whole lot in previous seasons. And it turns out when you practice on cold tires, that really helps you with when your tires are warm as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me that was a pretty big aha moment. Do some cold tire practice, and it turns out running on hot tires is a lot easier.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all the questions I have, Tim, for these guys. Do you have anything for them before we go? Yeah, I mean, it's scary. I think the challenge of Leo is pulling new drivers in as well, guys at top who want to figure out if they could beat this guy too. Like Chris said, it was a motivation to get back out there and start fighting again. So I think the league is looking healthy.
Yes, I do have one very special shout out to my dog Piglet. I had to put her down on Friday, so it's been a very tough week and a tough weekend. So this race was for her, and I love you, Piggy.
Sorry to hear that, Chris.
Pretty much thank you to everyone that participated in the league and made it as fun as it was this season and all the other seasons. To the broadcast team, to Jeffrey for everybody being there and supporting the series and broadcasting it. You know, that's a lot of the fun, being able to relive the races weekly with commentary and seeing everybody's reaction. That's always fun. And for, you know, all the new people that this league attracts, you know, welcome, come and join the fun. And everybody at Shake and Bake, of course, Jexy who's watching, and yeah, to everybody that supports the series, again, thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Well, Jeffrey, I want to thank you for joining us. Chris Smurl and Peter Lee were big on travel today, and it's great that you're here again to help me and support CAV Racing Network again on this crazy Sunday night. We had some troubles, but we made it through. And yeah, we're gonna take a small break. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun in our Week 13 events, and we would love to see you back in our next season here at CAV Racing Network. For now, I want to thank everybody and have a great week. Thank you all.